Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. How do we understand that knowledge is a means and not an end? So, from the Islamic perspective, there's no doubt that knowledge is something emphasized. And here on Seeker's Guidance, you would always find a scholar encouraging the pursuit of sacred knowledge. This is why we are called Seeker's Guidance, right? Because the seeker, the talib, has a very, very special place in Islam. In Islam, knowledge or ilm is seen as a means to cultivate, to foster the fear and consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is not to be a end in and of itself. Knowledge is not an end in and of itself, even though it is a virtuous pursuit, but it has a higher objective. It's fa'lam annahu la ilaha illallah. Know that there is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge must ultimately lead us to the awareness, to the consciousness and the remembrance of Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains this in various ways in the Quran. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Only those fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from among his servants who have knowledge, or only those who have knowledge from among his servants truly fear him. Knowing Allah is loving Allah, it's being in awe of Allah, it is fearing Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal, which ultimately leads us to attain salvation, both in this life and in the world hereafter. It leads us to live a life based on guidance, based on sincerity, based on love and compassion, and based on divine principles. This is the ultimate objective of knowledge. So yes, Islam does say, طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم, أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. But the farida, the obligation of pursuing sacred knowledge, is not for the sake of pursuing sacred knowledge, but rather so that we can be better Muslims, so that we can be better submitters to Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal. So this illustrates that the ultimate purpose of acquiring knowledge is to bring one closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. تعرف إلى الله في الرخاء يعرفك في الشدة. As the hadith states, come closer and know Allah in times of ease, and he will know you in times of difficulty and hardship. Knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of the most noble pursuits that we can have in this world because of the ends that it takes us to. And that ends is ultimately the rida, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.